Good evening. My name is Jess, and I am responding to Session 5's Finding Your Voice assignment. I chose physician-assisted suicide, also known as physician-assisted death, death with dignity. There are several different terms used for this incredibly controversial topic, and I selected 3 different viewpoints. The first is an opposing viewpoint, just talking about how all of the less than favorable aspects, and how it could be deemed sinful, how many look at it as murder, and how in the eyes of the Christian community, that's not a decision that anybody but God has to make as far as when your time on earth is done. The second viewpoint is one of acceptance or one of support in the idea of physician-assisted suicide. It's coming from a place of acceptance. It's coming from a place of control. It's coming from a place of just humanitarianism and stopping the suffering that's inevitable based upon the symptoms that people are going to experience, the inevitable that death is coming, and being allowed to decide when, and being able to say enough is enough, and being able to save not only yourself from suffering and experiencing the physical pain and other items that will come along with it, but also saving your family from experiencing some of those things as well. They are the ones who during those final days, months, weeks, will be with you. They will be the ones who are going through that journey with you. Hopefully you wouldn't go through it alone, but they're going to be the ones who are there each step of the way, and they're going to be the ones who are also affected by it. So by being able to, as a family, come to terms with what's happening, decide when it's happening, decide how it's happening, and to have a plan in place ultimately may make it easier for some families to accept, and for some families to feel that they had a say in how this happened, and to allow dignity and humanitarianism through the process. They take out those final days or weeks that suffering would occur, and they allow the person to make the choice that says enough is enough, and I've suffered enough, and I've heard enough, and I've watched everyone around me hurt enough, and I think that it's time to say I'm okay, and I accept this, and allow that grieving process to start. Then the third viewpoint is a firsthand experience. Secondhand experience from a scenario that I actually witnessed. I went to school with somebody whose stepson, May 25th of 2019, died by physician-assisted suicide. He had battled cancer. He had battled OCD, ADHD, and bipolar for several years. His cancer was aggressive. His cancer left him with the inability to walk. It took his ability to walk, although he was cognitively still mostly there. So he was aware of his suffering. He was very much aware of what was coming in those next few weeks to few months. And he had been battling for years. This was not just something that 3 months ago we were diagnosed with cancer and I don't want to do it anymore. He had battled for many years, and finally, when it was said that they had done everything that they possibly could, and that medically there was no longer anything that could happen, except providing comfort during his final time here, he finally expressed his wishes, and he had the full support of his family, full support of his friends, and full support of his community to do what he thought was best. I think for a very long time, although I had family members who agreed with death by physician or physician-assisted suicide, I had my own take, and I had my own emotions towards kind of what I felt was acceptable. Being of the Christian faith, there's so many verses in the Bible that point towards the fact that that suicide is wrong. It points to murder is wrong. As somebody in the medical field, and as somebody who wanted nothing more than to be a doctor from a very early age, you take the Hippocratic Oath, and it clearly states that they will do no harm. Helping somebody die is harming them. I mean, it's ending their life. I swayed back and forth. I understood the piece of not wanting to suffer. I absolutely understand that. If I had to put myself in that predicament and I had to put myself in that situation, no, I absolutely wouldn't want to suffer. And I know even being sick or having gone through surgeries that during my downtime or during that surgery, that families are worried, that families go through their own sort of scaredness, just hoping that everything goes well. So I couldn't even imagine putting my family through or my family having to go through watching weeks or months of my suffering and my discomfort, and knowing that ultimately it's just going to lead to my death, and that there is nothing more that can be done. So when watching this friend of mine and her family and what they were going through, and knowing the decision that they had made, although it probably goes against a lot of what people's faith would tell them and a lot of what people believe, I support and I back his decision on what he chose to do. He took control of his situation. He said, enough is enough. I fought like crazy. I did everything I needed to. My family supported me through the entire process, and he needed their support one more time. It was as weird as this is gonna sound. It was beautiful, just kind of the way that it all came together and the way that it ended. And although very sad, and still to this day, they struggle with his loss like any normal family would. There wasn't these big posts about, oh, this complication occurred, or oh, the sadness of this, or things like that. They celebrated the fact that he made his choice and that he did what he felt was best, and his family never ever questioned his fight or his devotion to attempting to win his fight, until the very end, when they said even fighting at this point won't do anything, and that the end is inevitable. So I am not saying that if I was diagnosed tomorrow and was told, oh, treatment might work, or you might only have 6 months, I am not saying that tomorrow I would rush out and start making the request to end my life. Not at all. But watching his story was inspiring, and it definitely brought a lot of peace to the subject for me, seeing kind of firsthand what that family went through, and what his fight was, and some of the complications that he experienced, and just getting to learn a little bit more about what he had to go through in order to even be granted what he was. So I appreciate everybody listening. I appreciate the opportunity to do this and to read more into what this is. And I truly think at the end of the day, there are topics that I will still always struggle with. I don't think that there is ever a clear-cut answer for every situation that ever occurs. I do think that a lot of things are situationally based, but I think in the case of my friend and her son, I am in full support of the decision that was made, and I hope that other families find peace within it. So thank you so much. Blessings. Stay safe and stay healthy.